Welcome back to the Padilla Family Homestead. Today I'm showing you how to create our frost cover protection thing that we have going on. So a lot of people do hoops. I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what we're doing. So I'm actually going to do a voiceover here because I realized how bad the background noise was. There's a lot of activity in our little cul-de-sac area here, and it was just too loud. So basically, a lot of people do hoops. We couldn't find the right materials for our size beds and in an affordable manner that was going to hold up to hopefully snow and things like that. So because we want to use this for frost protection later. So this was my husband's brainchild, and we have supports in the center, and we can add more if we need to. But we have supports in the center to help in case like a squirrel crawls on it or something like that. Or if the snow hits, it's going to help with that. So we're using some rebar for the four corners, and then the rebar is just under the, I think it's like 3/8 inch. Our PVC pipe is 1/2 inch, so we have T connectors and elbow connectors and the crosses, and we are puzzle piecing this together. I got the net off of Amazon, and we're trying out these clips that were like $1 a piece that I found at Home Depot. We're gonna see how they do. So far, this particular net has been up for like 2 or 3 weeks. And in here we're adding in the other netting at the end of this. I'm going into the next bed. Now, I didn't want to dig up all of our basil, so I am cutting that. I'm like leaving that down, which was problematic. In the future, I'm going to plan better. We also just got like 4.5 inches of rain recently at this time, and so that's why I was emptying that out. But the ridges all held up pretty well. I ended up having to redo a couple, but it is helping all the water not flowing down to the bottom of this slant in these beds. I'm pointing out here this post, and that post in the center has no rebar in it. It's just there for support. And then I'm showing you the bed now that we are going to be working on. I created the little divots. I'm also going to be doing this bed over here. My spinach got washed out in it, so I got to replant that. But we are also going to be doing this bed. We did not get it done on this day though. Okay, so now we're going to show you kind of how we do this. First, I'm going to show you my husband and the chicken who liked to hang out with him during this process. It's kind of funny. But he is using a hacksaw with a special blade that is good for metal, plastic, anything. And what we did is he's cutting the feet, the posts, basically how high this is going to be. So all the edges are 2 feet. The center support is 2 feet. And so he has 10-foot long PVC pipes, and he marked it with a Sharpie every 2 feet. And so we have 5 of the feet per pipe. And this chicken was like wanting to eat the pipes and kept thinking he was throwing him food, and it was just really cute. Anyway, so he did this. This was much, much, much easier than doing the handheld cutter this many times. That works if you're only doing a few times, but when you are doing it this many times, then your hand gets really worn out. Now, there's probably safer ways to do this than what my husband is doing. So just be safe, be smart. But he did not get injured, and he has done this many times. So we are good to go. Okay, so the next thing up is how my brain works. Again, the background noise for this video was horrible. And so I'm not going to be able to show you all of that because it's going to drive you nuts. But we have a lot of good information. So you guys know that I've been using the app Seed Time. I talked about that in planting the fall seeds, planting the garden, all of those things. And in this, I printed out the layout. I used the layout in Seed Time, and I went all the way up to sometime end of September, so it showed what was in what beds at that point in time, because I have a lot of transplants in the house. And I took the map, and you're going to see my horrible chicken scratch here. Oh my goodness. But I took this map and I really laid out the structure from this first bed we did and came up with all the plans on what we needed. So I know what's a 4-foot bed, what's an 8-foot bed, all the areas that we're going to be netting off, and then the areas we're not netting off, we don't have to worry about. How we're expanding. So like I was going to leave spot for the tomatillos, and I'm now going to expand that out. So I went ahead and I mapped this out and kind of went, okay, so I want every few feet, I want to support. I know that to do this support, I'm going to need this many T's, this many elbows, this many crosses, this much footage when it comes to PVC pipes, how we're going to do them. Some of the areas we're using Y's because it's just what works best for that smaller 2-foot bed area. And it's just, I mapped it all out. This is not how my husband's brain works. So this was kind of hard for us. I'm a very detail oriented, like I need to physically see it in my brain and see how this is going to work. And you can see I have lots and lots and lots of chicken scratch, but I counted how many T's I needed, how many elbows, how many Y's, how many crosses. I did the math on how much PVC. We're still going to figure out the clamp situation, but this made a difference. So when I'm talking about T's and Y's and so forth, this is a Y. The PVC pipe will go straight down and then it'll split into Y's. This is a T. And so we use that in multiple places. This is an elbow. Those are a lot of my edges. And then I have the cross. And so these are all the adapters we used. They're not threaded. And some of them, they're cheaper to buy in bulk. So I think some of these came in 15-pack quantities. And it was half the price per elbow than buying them individually. So doing your math ahead of time will make this a big cost saver, because you're paying half the price, literally. Same with buying the PVC. You get bulk pricing at Home Depot for buying 10 or more, and it drops the price significantly. Some of the other tools you'll need are, this is the hand PVC cutter that I was talking about. Again, we used this a few times, but we decided this really wasn't the route we wanted to go with how many are out there, but there is a ton available. What we do use is this hacksaw, and this is the blade that we use. My husband loved it. It worked really, really well for us, and it's much, much easier on the hands. Okay, so some of the other tools we need are a sledgehammer. A metal one is good. We use to pound the rebar in. I think this is 3/8 because it fits inside of the 1/2-inch PVC. We tried to get the 1/2-inch rebar, and rebar is not very evenly constructed. It's not just a round circle, so it didn't fit in well. These clips are still under review. I like how big they open. They have a rubber tip. They have sharp edges though, but they go over the 2x4 very easily. And they do clamp in and hold things in place. So we're going to keep trying to use them. Okay, so now we're going to start constructing. So we have our map, and we know kind of what's going to go where. So I'm going to start laying things out. Anytime I'm working on a project, I like to save time where I can. You guys know I have a very busy schedule. So I'm trying to save as much time as possible, and having things laid out and organized and knowing what you have so you don't have to go to the store a million times is really, really key for success for me. So my husband and I talked about where we wanted the rebar, and we are just putting it on the four ends. Now, the rebar is there for a couple of reasons. It's going to stop it from shifting in the wind the same way. It's also it's just going to be an anchor pretty much. It's going deep into the ground, and things just aren't going to shift, either wind or squirrels or whatever. It's not going to shift all over the place, and it gives some good stability. We do have legs without the rebar because we just want that support, like the net to not fall. But it's not necessarily there to stop the whole thing from moving. Now, we have gone through a tornado here. A lot of people's gardens were messed up. I mean, obviously a little bit of rebar isn't going to be the big solution. The clamps are also going to help hold it down because the netting's going to be clamped onto the wood. I'm hoping we're going to get some sandbags as well for some of the areas. But for now, this is what we have, and it seems to be working really well. We've had a couple of pretty crazy windy storms, and the bed didn't shift at all. I mean, I think we got up to like 70-mile-an-hour winds the day, like a week after we put this up or something like this. And that was when we went through, actually it was like 2 weeks, because we went through 4.5 inches of rain in a day. And it held up just fine. The bed didn't wash out. The netting didn't move. Everything was great. So far I think these are working pretty well. Okay, so I am laying out the rebar, putting the legs over the rebar. I put down all of my leg poles, my 2-foot poles. So there's 3 where I need a center support, 2 where I'm not doing a center support. And then now I'm putting out all of my little connecting pieces, the elbows, the T's, the X's, the Y's. So we have how many we need in each location. This is how my brain works. My husband does not operate this way. So it's a good pairing when we can get it together. He's very creative, and he has it just like, he just innately knows. I don't just innately know, I have to see it. Okay, so now he's going to bring over his saw, and we're bringing over some PVC pipe, and we are going to start measuring. So this is a man-made bed. All the boards are hand cut, cut with a saw. Dirt is in there, it's filling it out. It's nature. This is not going to be a pristine fit. Not everything is going to be exactly the same size. So we are taking our PVC, and we are laying it across from side to side and making sure we are measuring each section and making that correct for itself. And then we keep in mind, so we're going to end up cutting some of these into half because we put that middle beam down the center. And so we just know which side has to be, I think it was, so these were just short of 4 feet. So I think they were like 43 something inches wide. Not 43, 47 and a half or something like that. And then I did 20, I don't know if it was 22 and a half on one side or 24 and a half. I think it was 24 and a half. And we measured that, cut that, And then whatever side we had that exact measurement on, not the remainder, but whatever side we had the exact measurement on, that's the side that we kept doing that on the rest of the way down. So we did the top end, we did the bottom end of the bed, and then we moved into the center of the bed, and made this work. So it did come together. This way, without PVC in each one, is a little bit harder. It does take a little bit extra, coordination and strength, and figuring it out. So having two people is great. Sometimes we needed more than 4 hands. 6 hands would have been even better. But it worked. So yeah, we got it together. Now, I will say this was actually a really great practice run for my husband and I, because we haven't built a project this big together, actually, and we didn't realize how differently our brains worked sometimes. And so this was a good test in communication and getting things together. And so when you are working together, don't give up. Figure out how the other one thinks and how to explain what you're thinking and what you need, and make that work. It is worth it, because now my husband and I can look back on this and see a fun project that we built. We're learning. It's trial and error. So yeah, just don't give up if you don't agree with your spouse on something. Make sure that you guys are communicating through, talking through the pros and cons, what your concerns are, what their concerns are. Listen and communicate. So we did that, and it ended up working out great. So again, what we're doing here is doing this section by section. We're starting at the top, and we are working our way down. And at the top of this bed, we have that first bar across. Now we're working on the second one. We need to make sure that it lines up with that first one, and we kind of got our posts twisted the wrong way at one point. And so we got that figured out, and we made sure we measured better and kept the right measurements on each side from that point on. So we do the first bar, get the second bar done, and then connect them. Now we're going to build the third bar, and we are going to connect the third bar to the second bar, and so forth, continuing this process on until all of the bars are created. Now, the netting on this one is going to lax down the side a little bit in between these. There's no support all the way around the edge, but that's okay. That allows rain or water to drip down. It allows debris to kind of roll down it, whatever it is. We're hoping that's going to be the case with the snow, but the netting is pulled tight over the top. So even though it looks like it's drooping, it's not going to sag. It shouldn't sag under pressure very much, because you have it held secure with the clamps. So this is our setup. This is how we're doing this one. I do have it bowed out a little bit in the middle at the end, which is okay, because that's going to add some tension in there, and it's going to push it together and help keep it pulled together. So now we're trying to get this netting up and over. This is the same piece of netting that is on the front half of this bed, and so this would have been much easier for me to do if I didn't try to cut out that basil. But that basil's already planted, and I don't want it underneath this netting because it already has grasshoppers and moth eggs and all the things on it, which are the things I want to protect my little seedlings from. And this bed is primarily root vegetables. Under the front half is carrots and radishes and beets. Under this portion, it's going to be turnips and rutabagas and kohlrabi and maybe some broccoli and other things at the back end since we expanded it. But this is going to be all things that those caterpillars and those grasshoppers love very much. So this is something I do not want to risk having older plants in. And that's one of the reasons why I dug up all the marigolds and I didn't leave them in because they already had bugs, and why I cut this netting short of the end of the bed, because the sweet alyssum down there is the best growing that we've had, and I want to let it just keep going. And so I didn't want to add it underneath the netting though. So I just made the bed and this cover and just shy of it. And this is the process. Now this video, this project took about an hour and a half, all of the film time, and I have cut it down to a 23-minute video. So obviously there's a lot of speeding up here, and this had a lot of forethought ahead of time in planning. But this is working, and so far we really like it, and we hope that this inspires you to do something for the fall crop to help you grow things in the fall. We plan on using this exact same structure, leaving it there and adding frost fabric over the top of some of the areas. Not all the areas will get frost fabric, but some of the areas will, like the area over our kale and so forth. If we have an early frost, we want to be able to protect some things and not lose things ahead of time. And then some things are cold hardy, but as it drops lower, we want to keep things for as long as we can. So it's bug netting first, and then the same structure will be for frost fabric. And I like this 2 foot high all the way around, not just in the center, because then I can utilize taller plants all the way across and it's going to work out well. So I hope you enjoy this. We're going to end the video here, and I hope you get out there and you are doing something. I would love to know what you do for your frost fabric and your bug netting, or do you just not grow in the fall? But I think this is a great way to protect our little babies. We'll see you back here on the next one.